Each of these factors directly influences the success of creating awareness of the need for change. Factor 1. A person's view of the current state. Individuals who strongly favor the current state and who have significant time, energy, or money invested in how things are done today may initially deny the reasons for change or discredit those reasons in favor of maintaining the status quo. If it's not broke, don't fix it. We've been doing it this way around here ever since I joined the company. What's wrong with what we're doing now? On the other hand, people who strongly oppose the current state may seize upon the reasons for change as further evidence for their belief that a change is needed. I told you that changes were needed a long time ago. It's about time someone listened to me. When individuals are dissatisfied with the current state, they may use an awareness message to justify their past position, even if it's not related to the change at hand. How people react to awareness messages and the amount of resistance they ultimately express is strongly related to how they feel about their current situation. The more comfortable and invested they are in the current state, the more likely they are to ignore or discredit the reasons for change. The more discontent they are with the current state, the more likely they will listen to and internalize the reasons for change. Factor 2. How a person perceives problems. The second factor relates to a person's cognitive style and how they internalize new information against the backdrop of their current perceptions. Dr. Michael J. Curtin, in his book Adaptive Innovation, writes about two cognitive styles of business managers on a spectrum of more adaptive to more innovative. He states, adapters more readily anticipate challenges and threats from within the system, often devising, in good time, plans to economize, downsize, etc. Whereas innovators are more ready to anticipate events that might beckon or threaten from outside, such as the early signs of changing tastes and markets, or significant advances in technology that have not yet been fully exploited. In other words, employees whose style is more adaptive are more aware of internal threats. Employees whose style is more innovative are more aware of external drivers for change. Curtin goes on to say, in research, it was noted that every manager tended not only to miss some cues that were picked up by others, but also found others' warnings irritating and distracting to real issues, specifically ones they could clearly see. This factor of style relates to how individuals approach problems and how they internalize and evaluate warnings that change is needed. Each of us has a unique way of processing information and solving problems. We each deal with things in our own way and in our own time. This style factor suggests that broad and general communications may not always, by themselves, create awareness of the need for change. For example, awareness messages that focus on threats from within the system may miss Curtin's innovators, while messages that focus on external clues may irritate Curtin's adapters. Factor 3. Credibility of the sender. The credibility of the sender of awareness messages directly impacts how an individual will internalize that information. Depending on the level of trust and respect for the sender, recipients of the message will view the sender either as a credible source or someone not to be believed. In the workplace, employees have specific expectations related to communication surrounding change. Messages about why changes are being made and how the change aligns with the business strategy are expected from the person near or at the top of the organization. Messages about how the change will impact employees locally and how the change may impact them personally are expected from their immediate supervisor. People also weigh the message against the backdrop of the organization's track record with change. If an organization has a history of false alarms or failed changes, individuals will tend to disregard new information, even if it represents a true threat. For example, communities that face frequent storm hazards, like those cited in the New South Wales case study, may not heed awareness messages if the previous 2 or 3 warnings turned out to be false alarms. Regardless of the real nature of the reasons for change, These perceptions of the messenger's credibility can greatly influence a person's willingness to acknowledge the awareness message. In some cases, individuals will simply not believe the reasons for change or won't take them seriously. Factor 4. Circulation of misinformation or rumors. The fourth factor relates to the presence or absence of distorted or incorrect information in the background conversation. For example, if business managers have withheld information from employees about the change and rumors have spread among employees, these rumors may have clouded the facts and have created barriers to building awareness. Employees may have trouble sorting out real information from fabricated or distorted information, and they may be more likely to listen to rumors than to their own manager. Supervisors may spend more time correcting misinformation than they would have spent communicating the right information in the first place. Factor 5. Contestability of the reasons for change. The final factor that can impact awareness building is the contestability of the reasons for change. Some changes will have external or observable reasons that are difficult to dispute. These conditions are more often present in changes that are a reaction to an external event or trend, or are driven by forces outside of the organization. For example, changes that are made within a nuclear energy plant to comply with new waste disposal regulations have external drivers for the change. The reason why the change is needed is compliance with a new law. The risk of not changing includes fees or penalties. Another example would be a company that's changing their product or service offering in response to dropping market share and declining revenues. The reasons for change are external, marketplace-driven, and are observable. The risk of not changing is potential downsizing, lost opportunities, or perhaps bankruptcy. The presence of external drivers is not always sufficient, as evidenced by the controversy surrounding the Kyoto Protocol to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Visible evidence such as glacier recession and increases in ocean surface temperature stirred the debate over the effect of human activity on global climate. Arguments arose about whether or not these climate trends are caused by industrial activity or by natural long-term climate cycles. In other words, a person or group that opposed this treaty could contest the reasons for the change based on a myriad of scientific data from one side or the other. On the matter of the Kyoto Treaty, the position of the United States administration in the late 1990s was to question the degree to which greenhouse gases impacted large-scale climate change. In this example, awareness was affected by the contestability of the reasons for change. Now consider changes in which the reasons for change are internally oriented without any external drivers. For example, a large utility company proposed rotating senior executives among job functions. The vice president of customer service would become the vice president of sales. The vice president of sales would become the vice president of HR, and so forth. The reason stated for why the change was being made included bringing new leadership styles to each group, increasing synergy between groups, and professional development for the executives. Note that on first review, the reasons cited for this change are valid. Also note that they are not driven by external and observable forces. The net result is that a reasonable person may debate the grounds for the change. One vice president may take the position that her leadership style has been effective, and that the business results are the best ever for her division. Another executive may argue that he has been sponsoring a major change in his area, and that this rotation would be disruptive to the success of that initiative. This issue of contestability can create a barrier to change. If the reasons for the change are debatable, then the time required to build awareness is longer. In some cases, individuals may not accept the reasons for change as valid. Summary. The first step to enable change is to create awareness of the need for change. The following factors influence the process of building awareness within individuals during a change. 1. Acceptance of awareness messages is greatly influenced by a person's view of the current state. Those strongly invested in the current state may discredit or deny the reasons for change. 2. An individual's cognitive style impacts how they perceive the need for change and how they solve problems. Some may already see the need for change, whereas others may be caught off guard. 3. The credibility of the sender of awareness messages and the organization's history with change will weigh heavily on whether or not the awareness message is believed and accepted. 4. The presence of misinformation or propaganda in the background conversation can stall efforts to create awareness of the need for change. In some cases, overcoming misinformation presents a major barrier for change. And 5. Awareness of the need for change is easier to create in the presence of external and observable drivers. Changes driven by internal drivers, or by reasons that are debatable, face greater challenges to building awareness. Awareness is the first objective of the ADKAR model. Awareness building establishes the groundwork upon which individuals can make personal choices about change. What about desire to engage in a change? Is having awareness of the need for change sufficient to create desire?